Hello, hello, hello. We are just getting started. So I will wait a few minutes, as I always do, for people to log in. So welcome, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Guess I can say welcome to me too, because it's been some time since I've been live, but welcome. So, I like to know who we have online. So y'all give me a shout out. Who's online? I see we have a few people logging in. You all know I start at 7, but I like to start a few minutes late, maybe around 7:10 or so, just to give people a few minutes to log on. Wait a minute. I see Anjanae. You go, girl. I see you, boo. Thank you for showing up. Anjanae, I hope Danita's on this call so she can see you. Who else do we have? Who else do we have? Who else do we have? Y'all give me some shout outs now. I want to know who we have online. Madison. Hello, Madison. Where are you from? I know you are one of my YouTube subscribers. So, where are you from, Madison? So, it's 7:06. Y'all know I like to start a few minutes late. Hey, Teresa, welcome back. Or should I say, I'm coming back. So, welcome back, Karen. I'll welcome myself back to my Facebook Lives. It's been a while. It's been about 5 weeks since I've been live, and I am actually happy to be back. Hi, Edward. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back. Is that Special J from Royal, Virginia? I don't even know where Royal, Virginia is. Nikki from Covington, Georgia. Welcome. Brooklyn, Madison. Brooklyn is in the house. Welcome, you all. It's 7:06. I'll get started in about 3 minutes at 7:10. So people are popping on. So while people are popping on, how has your week been? How has your week been? I know it's probably been interesting since Sunday. I think I am still a little traumatized. Yes, I am just a little traumatized from that Oscar. I don't know. Have y'all been thinking about it? Have y'all been reading about it? My husband and I, we've been reading online. We've been reading messages. It's like, we're still like, did this really happen? Did it really happen? Okay, yes, it really happened. And then why did it happen? Is this for real? So I don't know if y'all have been obsessing about it. I know I have just a little bit because it's still fresh. I'll get over it, which is part of the reason. Well, I'm not talking about alopecia because of the slap, so to speak, but it's more so the trigger for the slap is why I decided, well, let me go and talk about this today. Hey, Mary from St. Louis. We got somebody from Alabama. Okay, Teresa, you're from Alabama. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, y'all, to this live. So this live is not necessarily about the slap heard around the world, but of course, it's about the trigger for the slap. So you said, Edward, unfortunately, it's real. It is real, isn't it? Like, did that really happen? I was reading commentary about it, and people were saying, like, they're traumatized. And I started thinking about myself, and I think I might be a little traumatized too, just a little bit, because I'm thinking about it more than how I would normally think about things. And it's just like, this actually happened. I can't believe this actually happened, but it did. So here we are. I know, God, it's most turning things around for me. I know it happened. I can't say why it happened. Of course, it's like Jada has alopecia. He's defending his wife. I have my own personal opinions about that I won't necessarily go into. The purpose of this live is to talk about Jada's alopecia, not necessarily the slap, but the slap is a result of the insult, the comment. I believe that's from what I gathered. That was why he slapped Chris Rock. Of course, I don't condone it. I didn't quite understand it, but I thought, okay, here we are. Here we are. I mean, alopecia can be very painful. It's very hurtful. Like I have a form of alopecia. I know it's not the type of alopecia where you can see when you look at it, you can't see it, but I've always shared with you all my journey. I have alopecia just in here. in the top, where the top of my hair grows slower than normal. You can't see it now because look, y'all, I have switched it up. Do y'all see all that? Okay, you see that? Okay, let me show you like that. Okay, do you see all I went to a 50th birthday party this past weekend, and my daughter thought that I needed to do something different and I needed to switch it up. And she always says, oh, Karen, you're so old and you're so boring. You need to switch it up. So she gave me this hair that came all the way down to my butt. And I thought, okay, this will just be for this party this weekend. So I've been having it in it's been about 5 days. So I'm just going to rock it until I wash it this weekend. But that is this. I just want y'all to see all that hair that I'm rocking. But anyway, hey, Miss Alfreda, welcome, everyone. Welcome. It is very nice to be back. I feel like you all are my family. You all are my online family. So I am back. I know our last topic we talked about, it was 6 weeks ago. It was on gray. Very good conversation on gray hair. Somebody reached out to me on Facebook and said, wait a minute, hold on. You're talking about alopecia tonight? Tonight, we're supposed to be talking about gray. But because alopecia is trending, I decided, okay, this is the perfect night to start talking more about alopecia, more about hair loss. So it's been about 6 weeks since I've been here. I'm really happy to be back. For those of you all who have checked on me, the reason I have been gone is because my father passed away it's been 5.5 weeks. So he passed away on February 20th, which is why I disappeared from online, because I just needed some time to get myself together. So now I am somewhat together enough to get back on live. So that's why I have been missing. Thanks for you all have reached out to me, who have prayed for me. I appreciate it. But okay, let's get rolling. Okay. Someone said, Special J said, the whole thing is a distraction that keeps us separated and divided against each other. Both Will and Chris were wrong. Yes, that whole situation in terms of the slap, it did bother me. It bothered me. Like I said, I was traumatized by it. But of course, for me, I didn't necessarily look at, of course, I saw the slap. Yes, I was traumatized by it. I thought, oh my God, did that just happen? But then my attention immediately went to Jada and her shaved head, and she deals with alopecia. So as a trichologist, as a stylist, as someone who has worked with, I can say, thousands of women at this point with their hair and their hair loss. Of course, my heart goes out to people who are dealing with alopecia. And then listen to all the commentary, because like I said, I have been really, really listening to all this commentary about alopecia. And what occurred to me is that a lot of people really don't know about alopecia. Like, alopecia, the word in and of itself means hair loss. So some people say alopecia, it's a Greek word for hair loss, but that's what it means. It means hair loss. So I thought, well, let's talk about that. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Not about the slap, but the trigger for the slap, which is the hair loss. And for those of you all who have sent your condolences about my father, thank you. I really, really appreciate that. Okay, so in terms of alopecia, let's talk about this. So I listened to all the commentary, and people are talking about Jada's type of alopecia. And I wanted to make sure you all know the type of alopecia she has, because there are so many different reasons you can lose your hair. Some is due to mechanical things that we do to our hair, which cause our hair to come out. And other people, it's due to things going on within their body. Now, I do not know Jada. I'm getting my sources from what I see online, just like everyone else. But Jada has, because I do not know her medical diagnosis, but she has alopecia areata. So alopecia areata. Again, alopecia means hair loss, or it may mean bald. So alopecia, hair loss. Areata means patches. So that means hair loss in patches. So Jada has alopecia areata. That is an autoimmune type of alopecia, which is very different. So in other words, that means autoimmune type of alopecia means her immune system is attacking her hair follicle. Her immune system. So our immune system is supposed to protect us from viruses, from bacteria. Like our immune system is what helps us to heal. But if the immune system is abnormal, it does the opposite of what it is designed to do. So alopecia areata is when the immune system attacks the cells around the hair follicle, and that is what causes the hair to come out. So it is called an autoimmune disease, where again her immune system is attacking her hair follicle. Now, what you don't see with Jada, if you followed her, I don't really follow Jada, for example, just online, but of course she has alopecia, so I keep my ears to people who have alopecia. You've seen her wear scarves, you've seen her wear hats. Now she just decided to cut it off. Now, alopecia areata is a type of alopecia that's found in less than like 2% of the worldwide has this type of alopecia. So generally speaking, it's very uncommon. Compared to the other types of alopecia, less than 2% have alopecia areata. Most times it is found in children. So most cases of alopecia shows up in children or less than 20 years old. So with areata, meaning circular patches. So if you have alopecia areata, a lot of times when people come see me, they'll say, hey, I have a bald spot. So it just literally looks like a circular patch about the size of a quarter, generally speaking. And it's somewhere on your scalp. It's the size of a quarter. Most people, about 80% of people who have alopecia areata, they have just one circular patch. Then other people will have two circular patches. Now, as I progress online and using this technology, y'all, I'm going to figure out how I can actually go live and show pictures. So that's on the list of things that I'm going to do for the month of April, show you these pictures of what it looks like. So right now, I'm just going to describe it to you. But anyway, it's a circular patch. Circular patch, and that's what areata is. It's circular patches. Now, the thing with alopecia areata, if you have it or if you know someone who has it, in terms of this type of alopecia, it is very, very unpredictable. That's the one thing that's consistent about alopecia areata, is that it is unpredictable. So your hair may just fall out. Now, contrary to what a lot of people say, there are some stressors that cause it to come out, or a lot of people will say it's stress that causes it to come out. But it's stress happens in less than 15% of people. So stress is the trigger. So in other words, we don't really know why the hair comes out. A lot of children get alopecia areata, and children, generally speaking, are not under the same amount of stress that adults are. Now, I'm not talking about children growing up in abusive environments. Yes, that is absolutely stressful. But generally speaking, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old may not have the level of stress that a 30 or 40-year-old will have. So you can't necessarily say alopecia areata, your hair comes out because of stress, even though that may be a trigger. There may be genetic components to it. Sometimes it's hereditary, but it may not be. Again, with alopecia areata, the main thing is it is unpredictable. Anybody can get it at any age, even though it shows up in most people before the age 20. But you can get it in your 30s and your 40s. I have no idea how long Jada has been dealing with it, because she just came out recently, about 3 years ago, with her alopecia. So I'm gonna look at some of the comments that we have. I see Mary says she's been diagnosed with scarring alopecia. So you feel Jada's pain. Now, I can say this. I'll talk about scarring alopecia soon, Miss Mary. But in terms of the pain, I feel the pain too. I feel, even if you think about someone who's losing their hair. So alopecia areata doesn't affect the body. So the majority of people with alopecia areata are perfectly healthy, just in terms of their physical health. But it's the psychological health that you have to deal with. That's what's most painful, the emotional health. And when you're emotional distress, and when you're dealing with emotional distress, that creates stress. And depending on your type of alopecia, that can exacerbate hair loss, stress in general, not just with stress being autoimmune, but stress in general. So most people with alopecia areata, I know Will Smith, and just from what I've read, they've talked about her medical condition. I wasn't sure if that was a medical condition beyond the alopecia areata disease, or another type of medical condition, because there are several autoimmune diseases that affect your body, but also affect your hair. So if someone is dealing with hair loss due to autoimmune, it's always good to get them tested for other diseases, because they may have other types of autoimmune diseases. And there are countless, like diabetes is one. Diabetes is like one of the number one types of autoimmune diseases. Diabetes affects your pancreas. So your pancreas produces the hormone insulin, but your immune system will attack the insulin producing cells. Your immune system is attacking the body. That's destroying those cells, which is why people with diabetes type 1 have to get insulin injections. So you may have other things attacking your body. I have a friend, she was having issues staying pregnant. So she would get pregnant, and she had 3 miscarriages, and she couldn't figure out, well, why is she having all these miscarriages? She went to the doctor. The doctor diagnosed her with something. I don't know the name of it, but what it was, her body was attacking the cells, the baby. So the body recognized the pregnancy as something being foreign, and her immune system would attack the baby, and she would have a miscarriage. But once they were able to determine what it was, they were able to treat her for it. So with Jada's alopecia, if you have circular patches, if you know someone who has circular patches, that's generally autoimmune type of alopecia, and definitely go and see a dermatologist for that. Or trichologists, we see it as well, but we will normally collaborate with a dermatologist. If there's someone online that has alopecia areata, if you have more questions about it, drop a question below in the comment, because I can talk about some basic treatments for that. Generally speaking, the immune system, if you have something dealing with your immune system, you treat the immune system. There are countless types of treatments. I won't go into detail because I want to talk about many other things, but if somebody has more questions about that, let me know. Okay, so hey, Miss Antoinette, thank you very much, and thank you for praying for me. And yes, I'm back. Okay, so let us roll. Now, as I said with areata, that's in less than 2% of the cases. People get areata. Now, there are 3 types of hair loss that affects women, particularly women of color. And the first one is CCCA. CCCA, and I'm going to put this, there we go. CCCA. That stands for Centrifugal Cicatricial Alopecia. Okay, let me say that again. Central means it starts in the center of your head. This is generally speaking, y'all. Central starts in the center of your head. Centrifugal means it gradually gets bigger. It radiates out like this. Cicatricial means scarring. Alopecia means hair loss. So CCCA, it is one of the number 1 causes of hair loss in Black women. That is something with CCCA. Back in the day, it was said that CCA they used to call it back in the day hot comb alopecia. So hot comb alopecia, when I say back in the day, I mean like in the 1950s. Back in the day, like prior to relaxers, we would flat iron our hair and we would put that grease on our scalp, grease on our hair to straighten our hair, and we would straighten it, and that grease would heat up and it would burn the scalp, causing that scarring right here. That was back in the day. Since then, we have progressed past that. Researchers don't know the exact cause of CCCA, but there has been some research from a doctor out in Africa who said that CCCA there is a genetic component to CCCA. So you will see, and I see it all the time, it's scarring, meaning your hair follicle is being attacked by inflammation, right? Your hair follicle is being attacked by inflammation. So as of now, even though it's no concrete information on how it starts, there are some things on how you can prevent it or how you can treat it. So according to research, and I keep saying according to research, there's not a lot of research on CCCA. There are countless hair loss disorders, but this one, Ccca, there's just not a lot of research on Ccca, but this is one of the #1 causes of hair loss in Black women. So one of the things that we do that contribute to Ccca, relaxers. Even though we stopped using the hot comb, we went from the hot comb and we replaced the hot comb with the actual chemical on our scalp. So even if you go to a licensed cosmetologist such as myself, when you apply relaxer to your hair, it gets on your scalp. It does. It gets on your scalp. It is what it is. Now, I do not recommend that you put your relaxer on your hair yourself, but generally speaking, anyone who's had a relaxer, you have felt the burn. Have y'all felt the burn? You know what I'm talking about. So if you feel your scalp burning, that is the relaxer that is on your scalp. And over time, putting that chemical on your scalp can lead to hair loss, burning your scalp. That's one of the things when you do the research, researchers now are saying this is one of the causes of the Ccca, what we're doing to our scalp, putting something on our scalp to cause the inflammation of the scalp. The inflammation attacks the hair follicle. It destroys the hair follicle. And once the hair follicle is destroyed, it's replaced with scar tissue and no hair can grow. So once the hair follicle is destroyed, no hair can grow. Once there is scar tissue, no hair can grow. Think about a cut, a sore on your body, and you can see it scarring. Hair is not going to grow there, right? Hair is not going to grow. So with Ccca, it's unfortunate. It just breaks my heart when I see it, that inflammation is attacking the hair follicle. And it can destroy the hair follicle. Another thing with Ccca, it is part of that inflammation in terms of addressing the inflammation. A lot of times women who experience Ccca, they may experience a burning on their scalp. Like they feel a tingling, they feel a burning. I personally remember a client years ago. She was one of my first clients when I started doing hair professionally. I saw it years ago. I saw this little circle in her scalp. I sent her to a dermatologist. That's the only thing I knew to do. I sent her to a dermatologist. And I'm sure the dermatologist gave her some type of treatment, but I didn't know what it was. And just over time, over years, I saw that little teeny circle that started out like the size of a quarter. I saw it gradually grow and get bigger. So the inflammation was destroying the hair follicle. And once the hair follicle is completely destroyed, once it is no longer viable, then hair will not grow. So if you have scarring alopecia, if you see that, if you feel something is going on with your scalp, if you feel a burn, if you feel a tingle, because a lot of times you may not see it, but if you do a self-inspection of your hair, what I say, put a part down the middle of your hair, see what size see if the part is wide, or if it's getting wider, or if it's a normal part, you can catch it early. Whenever you're dealing with Ccca or any type of hair loss disorder, the best treatment is treatment in advance. I'm looking at some of the comments. I'm gonna get to some of the comments. The best treatment is early treatment. Okay, the best treatment is early treatment. So with Ccca, I know Miss Antoinette, some of you all seen a dermatologist. Sometimes you can have several different types of alopecia, more than one. So Miss Antoinette, you said you have AA, which is androgenetic alopecia, which is within your genes. I can discuss that in a moment. Ccca, which is scarring, and then FFA. FFA stands for frontal fibrosing alopecia. FFA, frontal means it starts from ear to ear. Fibrosing, fibroids is scarring here. And then alopecia. So it's another type of scarring alopecia. Now, scarring alopecia is serious because scarring alopecia is very aggressive. So with other types of alopecia, it's not as aggressive, meaning it doesn't take your hair follicle out as quickly. Ccca, FFA it's aggressive, so it needs to be treated early. Treatment varies. Treatment varies from person to person. I don't know if some of the people who are dealing with Ccca, I'm sure your dermatologist has you on different types of treatment plans. And there are different types of treatments. I can go into some of the details of some of the things and even some of the things that we do with our clients. With trichologists, we are not doctors. So as trichologists, we will not give you a diagnosis. We can recognize certain types of hair loss disorders. We have many, many things that we recommend. We have in-person treatment where we do more alternative therapies. We have we use products. It's on a case-by-case basis. We address the internal, we address internal challenges with the immune system, with nutrient deficiencies. We can look at blood work. A lot of times we work with the dermatologist, and we always recommend products. We know products is not the answer to everything, but there are products that are designed to address inflammation, that are designed to promote growth. But usually when you are dealing with hair loss, it's a two-pronged approach. You have to address the internal and the external. You all know that I have a product line, Curl House, that addresses hair loss and hair restoration. And I put the link somewhere in this live. But anyway, you said, Miss Antoinette, you have AA. So yours is, thank you for correcting me. You have alopecia areata. I was thinking androgenetic alopecia, but AA, which is what we've talked about, the alopecia areata, which is what I believe Jada has, and it's autoimmune. So when you have any type of autoimmune reasons that are causing your hair out, those have to be addressed as well. So whenever you're dealing with any type of hair loss, if the hair loss is internal, like autoimmune, for example, it has to be addressed both internally and externally. Yes, I have this whole fabulous product line, but I always tell my clients, a product line is not enough if you have internal challenges. A product line is not enough. Even with alopecia areata, some of the things that I recommend, for example, would be zinc. Zinc is great for the immune system. Check your zinc levels. A lot of us are deficient in zinc. So if you are deficient in minerals, if you're deficient in nutrients, that will affect your hair. So I want you all to really focus on not just the hair, but taking that internal approach to addressing your hair. And then the other type of alopecia is traction alopecia. Have y'all heard of traction alopecia? Have y'all heard of traction alopecia? Traction alopecia. Traction alopecia. This is one of the most common types of hair loss in Black women. Traction alopecia. Traction alopecia. Alopecia, hair loss. Traction means any type of pull or tug or tension on your hair. That is what causes hair loss. Traction, any type of pull, tension on your hair. So for example, let me give you some examples. My hair, I'm using my hair as an example. My hair is pulled back into the slick ponytail. Yes, I think I'm cute. But if I wear this ponytail all the time, this is not tight, but generally speaking, if I wear this ponytail, if I wear my hair pulled back in this ponytail all the time, then this is going to cause tension right here at the hairline. And eventually my hairline will start to thin out. Or another thing, and Miss LB pointed this out, and thank you for pointing this out. And I love to use myself for an example. Y'all see all this long hair I have? Let me make sure you see it all. You see that? Okay. You see that? Yeah, you know I'm swinging it because I'm not used to swinging it. Yes, this is cute. I like it, but this is a lot of hair, right? So This is a style that I'm wearing for about a week, and it's okay. Styles like this are okay when worn in moderation. The issue is not the style, it's constantly wearing the style back to back, back to back, back to back. Now, this is 2 bags of weave. 2 bags of weave. This is not actually very heavy. The hair is not attached. The hair is not attached to my hair strand. The hair is just wrapped in the back. So this is just, it's a little different. But if all of this hair is constantly attached to my hair strand, that causes, excuse me, that may cause traction alopecia. It may cause traction alopecia. So one of the main styles that may cause traction alopecia, I say it all the time, braids, for example. Let me give you a disclaimer. I'm not against wearing braids. I personally don't wear them because I'm tender-headed and I hate getting my hair done. But generally speaking, if you're constantly wearing braids, braids all the time, and you never give your hair a break, your hairline, I usually see it around the hairline. The hairline is the weakest part of your hair. The hairline and the perimeter of your hair, usually around the hairline. Do y'all see this baby hair? You see my baby hair popping? Yeah, I had to do that too. I had to get real fancy for the party. But your hairline, the hair that grows in the front, is very similar to Bella's hair. So it's not that terminal hair that's all throughout your hair. The hairline is the weaker hair. And when we are constantly braiding our hair, we're doing two things. We are braids that are too tight. Yes, Jay. Braids, we put braids in tight. When they're too tight, when there's inflammation, when it's bumps, that is your scalp's or your body's way of saying, hey, this is too tight. And when you see those inflammation bumps, it's a good sign that those braids need to come out. Because if you don't take them out, then when you do take them out, it's a good probability that your natural hair is going to come out with that braid. So if you are wearing braids all the time, then, and if they're too tight, that can cause your hair to come out. And then secondly, braids, think about, and I was going to do this before this live, but I didn't have any. One day I'm going to take some braid hair and I'm going to put it on a scale. And I want to see, well, how much does this hair weigh? How much does the hair weigh? Has anyone done that before? Anyone? The braids that we're wearing now, we're wearing braids that go all the way down to the ankles. I see girls walking braids all the way down to their butt. It looks good. It looks fabulous, but the braids are heavy. It is weight. If you look at a strand of hair, do you see how small your hair strand is? So your hair follicle was only designed to hold the 1, 2, or 3 strands of hair that come out of that follicle. When you are constantly doing styles like braids, for example, where you're taking your hair and adding the hair as an anchor, your hair follicle has to hold all of this additional hair that your hair was not designed to hold. And that is why I feel like hair loss is an epidemic in our community because of our styles. So I'm just keeping it real. It is everywhere. I see it all the time. And again, I'm not against the braids. I always say, if you want to rock it, if you want to switch it up, no problem. Do it in moderation. Your hair strand was not designed to constantly hold all of this hair. Like the more hair you have, like with braids going all the way down to the, I saw a girl online. She had braids that not just went down to her ankles. It was so long, she literally had to take the hair, it was the braid hair, and kind of put it over her arm. And I thought, are you serious? Why do you have all of this hair? Let me swing this back, y'all. There we go. She had all of this hair. And the only thing I thought about, oh my gosh, the weight of that hair is going to weaken her hair follicle and cause her hair to come out. Like all of that hair, it's like, and that is what causes traction alopecia. A dermatologist said, she didn't say it to me, but she said it to one of my clients. She said, and this is my rendition of what she said. I can't remember what she said exactly, but she explained it. She said, take your hair. She said, traction alopecia is like taking, what did she call it? Taking a piano, taking your hair, putting a piano at the bottom of your hair, and then taking your head and pulling it outside or holding it over a cliff. Meaning the weight of it is so heavy, it's going to cause that hair to come right out. That is what causes traction alopecia. And that is what I see all the time. It's not just the braids. The braids is one. With the braids, I really see the hairline coming out. Again, the hairline is the weakest part of your hair in general. The hair is the weakest. So when you are constantly putting this additional hair on the weakest part of your hair, eventually that's going to create tension. It's going to cause the hair to come out. Now, not all braiders were created equal. There's a technique and a science to braiding. You don't just pick up the hair and braid it. Professional braiders who are trained, know how much hair needs to go into the braided hair, know the sections and the amount of hair that needs to go into the braid. Some braiders, not all braiders were created equal. There is that we used to go to school for this stuff. At some point, you had to have a license, you had to have a certification to do it. Now you don't have to have anything. You can just braid. Hey, Smart. Hey, Danita Beta. Hey, Miss Blue. Welcome, everyone. So I caution you when you're getting your hair braided. I'm not against braiding, but make sure when you get your hair braided, you should not have a headache. I said it. You should not have a headache. When you get your hair braided, you should be able to do this, do this, do this, and do this. You should be able to move your hair around. That is why that is why knotless braids are trending now, because knotless braids, as opposed to the hair that's anchored to the scalp with a box braid, knotless braids start with your natural hair and the hair is added to the braid, so that you don't have this huge anchor here. So that's why knotless braids is trending. Also, with knotless braids, they're not as tight. When you have that anchor with like box braids, for example, that's what makes it a little tighter. So with braids, I caution you, and I say this because, again, we are losing our hair in the Black community. And a lot of it is not autoimmune. A lot of it is not genetic. A lot of it is mechanical, meaning it is what we are doing to our hair. We are doing it to ourselves, and it just hurts my feelings. Hold on, let me come up for air because I can go. Okay. Miss Antoinette has a question. Is it possible that your natural hair, so the hair that's growing out of your scalp, could be too long or too heavy? Okay, so in terms of that question, if your natural hair is growing out of your scalp, you don't have any weave added, whether or not it's relaxed or it's loose natural, then your hair should be fine because your hair was designed to grow. Your hair follicle was designed to hold the hair that comes out of the scalp. So generally speaking, no, I do not think your natural hair growing out of your scalp could be too long or too heavy. However, I have seen people with certain styles, such as lock styles. With lock styles, what locks do, the locks will, your hair naturally sheds every day. You can see it when you have loose hair. You see your shed hair on the bed, or when you wash your hair comes out. That is what it's supposed to do. But with locks, the hair still sheds, but because the hair doesn't have a place to go, the shed hair stays in the lock, right? So if the shed hair stays in the lock, then that's what makes the lock heavier. So I have seen traction alopecia from people who have locked their hair because their hair is simply too heavy. So to answer your question, yes, I have seen that. People with locked hair, the hair is too heavy and people have to cut their hair. Some people will cut their locks down so that they're not as heavy. I've seen that as well. Remember, your hair your hair sheds every day. Let me see if I got something. I don't know. Y'all want to see something weird? Okay, these are the type of things I do. I can't help myself. Hold on, let me grab something. Now, I'll get so excited about things. I don't know if y'all can see this. This is shed hair. I'm doing this experiment, y'all, because I want you to see how much hair you shed a year naturally. So I'm going to show you this now. Can you see this? So this is shed hair. This is my shed hair. This is normal. And this is from, I think this is from this year. So yes, I take my shed hair and I'm saving it because I want to know how much hair do we really shed per year in general. So if you think about locks, this is less than 6 months worth of hair. I have more than this. I just haven't put it in here yet. But this is less than 6 months worth of hair. Can you see that? Can you see how much hair that is? This is quite a bit. And this is normal. This is normal shed hair just from me washing my hair in general. I wash once a week. This is normal shed hair. With locks, all of this shed hair stays on your head. It's supposed to come out, but it stays on your head. So as a result, over time, the hair can get heavy. So people will cut their locks back. I see it all the time. Let's see. Spot from a pen. Yes, Madison, pens I've seen back in the day when we used to wrap ponytails back in the day. The new type of ponytail, you don't even use any pins. But back in the day, we used to wrap those ponytails and stick all those bobby pins in it, or we would do a whole bunch of hairstyles with pins. And that if you have a pin like a bobby pin and that bulb pops off and that pin scrapes your scalp, yes, you can give yourself a bald spot because it can create an infection. It will create inflammation and you may get a bald spot. So be careful with wearing pins. Don't reuse the pins. I know we keep bobby pins in the future. Bobby pins, they have bacteria. They have dirt. You don't wash the bobby pins. You just keep them and save them. And then you put it right back in your hair. So that can create an infection in your scalp. So throw away your bobby pins. And when you put a bobby pin in your hair, when I would do my clients' hair, I would always ask them, do you feel this? Do you feel this bobby pin? Because if you can feel it touching the scalp, then it's a possibility it might irritate the scalp, and which may lead to hair loss. So be mindful of that too. Will traction hair loss grow back? The thing with traction hair loss, why I'm so adamant, particularly about traction hair loss, is because traction alopecia is completely preventable. Traction alopecia it's also what's the word? It's reversible. So I know the word I'm looking for is temporary. There we go. Traction alopecia is temporary, whereas I talked about some types of scarring alopecia might be permanent if it's not addressed early. Traction alopecia is temporary. If you stop doing the thing that's causing your hair to come out, then your hair will grow back. But if you keep wearing hairstyles that's putting tension on your scalp, like braids, for example, sew-ins, for example. Sew-ins are fine in moderation, but if you keep wearing sew-ins back to back and you start seeing that hair thinning out, if you keep doing it, then yes, then it can become permanent. Because when I want you to think about traction alopecia, think about it like this. Your hair strand is attached, it's inside of the hair follicle. The hair follicle beneath the scalp is attached to blood vessels. Blood feeding your hair follicle is what causes your hair to grow. The nutrients in the blood, the oxygen in the blood is what's causing your hair to grow. So it's attached, right? So when you're dealing with traction alopecia, when you are pulling the hair, when you're pulling it too tight and you're pulling it too frequently, then eventually your hair can start to detach from the blood supply and it doesn't retach. So when that happens, it's like a slow death. So if it never retaches to the blood supply, then the hair won't grow. Where there is no flow, where there is no blood flow, hair will not grow. Let me say that one more time. Where there is no blood flow, hair will not grow. And that's what happens with traction alopecia. your hair follicle will start to get smaller and smaller. It's if you go to a dermatologist, they'll say it will miniaturize. It will get smaller. It will keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And over time, it will no longer be viable. So with traction alopecia, if you have traction alopecia, that is what I call the easy one, particularly when you catch it early. There are some things you can do to stimulate hair growth with traction alopecia. The very first thing you do is to stop doing the thing that's causing your hair to come out. So if you're wearing braids back to back, even if it's not braids, even, I style natural hair. And I used to style natural hair, but even with my clients, when they get protective styles all the time, I would let them get protective styles regularly. But at some point I say, hold on, slow down. No protective style this month. You need to give your hairline a break. You have to wear your hair out. You got to do a wash and go. You got to do a twist out. You have to do something that's not as much tension on the hairline. So if you're wearing styles with tension, the first thing you have to do is stop the thing that caused your hair to come out in the first place. So even wearing a wig, from time to time, it's nothing for me to slap on a wig. Moderation. But if you're constantly wearing a wig, you're still putting tension right here on the hairline all the time from wearing the wig. Now, I'm not even going to talk about gluing stuff down to the scalp. We won't talk about that today. But if you have to stop doing the thing that's causing your hair to come out, that's the first thing you do. The second thing you can do is massage the scalp. You can put products on your scalp that will help to strengthen the hair follicle, that will reduce the inflammation, because that's what happens in traction alopecia. It's inflammation of the scalp too. If your scalp feels tender, it's inflammation. Put products on the scalp to reduce the inflammation. Of course, this is a good time. This is the product that's great for traction alopecia. This is the follicle stimulating growth drops. It has a ton of ingredients in it that helps to reduce the inflammation of the scalp, to help and to increase growth for your hair to be restored. And third thing, you can do a scalp massage. A scalp massage is just increasing the blood flow to the scalp. Pauline, you said it seems to be a real problem with fine hair too. I don't know. It's when you say I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, fine hair. The hair strand is much smaller for fine hair. So I'm not sure what you're talking about when you say it seems to be a problem with fine hair. But if you can clarify that would be great. So I don't want to misspeak. And the crown edges, just now learning about influence. Yeah, so Mary, you said you have sister locks and you considered cutting them into a short bob, since my hair is extremely thin at the crown and on the edges. So people have asked me, do sister locks or do locks lead to hair loss? People have asked me that. And in terms of whether or not they lead to hair loss, my opinion is that if you are going to a certified loctician who has proper training, then that loctician is not retightening your locks so tight where you have a headache when you leave. So whether or not you have sister locks or whether or not you have braids, if you're doing anything too tight, that's what leads to traction alopecia. So make sure you are going to someone who cares about the health of your hair. So in terms of your hair is thin in the crown and the edges, I would ask you, was it thin before you started the locks? Sister locks are great for people who have thin hair, because over time the hair does thicken. But is it something that has occurred since you had the locks? Because a lot of times when people have hair loss disorders, we can misdiagnose ourselves. So we will automatically assume that it's the locks that's causing our hair loss, when it may not be the lock. It may be a genetic type of hair loss. So it's important that you see a specialist Or if you don't see a specialist, go online and do your research if you want to self-diagnose yourself. But of course, I recommend you seeing a trichologist or dermatologist, because you have to get to the root of why you're losing your hair. In order for you to treat it properly, you have to know the cause of it. So just because you have sister locks, that doesn't mean the sister lock is leading to the thin hair. It may be something internal going on. It may be some type of deficiency within your body. Like the number one deficiency that leads to hair loss is iron deficiency. And a lot of us have iron deficiency. We don't know it. Or there may be a zinc deficiency, or you may have inflammation in your body. Inflammation is, now with the foods that we eat, most of the processed foods, the fatty foods, the sugary foods lead to inflammation in the body. Inflammation in your body definitely affects your cellular regeneration, which also affects your hair growth. So it's going to be important that you figure out, that you really do your research to figure out why your hair is thinning. Even the product that I use, the follicle stimulating growth drop, the product that I developed, I have several clients with locks, with sister locks, and they still use it. So it has been approved by sister locticians to use on the scalp. Even if you're starting locks, it's water-based, it moisturizes the hair, and you definitely see results. Does your hair shed even when it is braiding? Absolutely, Cherise. It sheds exactly the same even when it's braiding. The only difference is when the hair is in braids, just like when the hair is in locks, the hair doesn't have a place to go. So it stays in the lock. It stays in the lock, or in this case, it stays in the braid. And you don't see the shed hair until you wash your hair. So a lot of people are afraid, like when they get braids, and they'll say, oh my God, I had braids for 4 weeks and all my hair came out when I took the braids out. Generally speaking, that's probably not the case. Your hair sheds anywhere from 50 to 150 strands every single day. So if your hair has been in braids for 30 days, and if your hair sheds on average 100 strands a day, if your hair has been in braids for 30 days, when you take your braids out, you're going to have 3,000 strands of hair that all seem to come out at one time. But they're not coming out at one time. It's just when you're taking your hair out, then all the hair that shed is just coming out at the same time. So don't be afraid if it seems like your hair sheds a lot. On a live, I did an example where I showed what I had my hair. Normally, I wash my hair every week on average. On occasion, I might cornroll it and slap a wig on it and keep it in that style for like 3 weeks or something like that. And I showed the difference of what 1 week of shed hair looks like as opposed to 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So it just looks like it's more, but it's not. So just be mindful of that. And also when your hair is braided, or when you have your hair in a protective style, when you have it in braids, when you have on a wig, or the thing that we do, which also leads to the next type of hair loss. Well, I won't talk about the third one. I'll hold that for next week. But our hair will break off. So particularly if you're natural, just because your hair is in braids, just because you have it in a wig, just because you have it in a protective style, does not mean you neglect your hair. And that's what we have started to do. And that is part of the reason that we, as a community of Black women and men, our hair is coming out, because we put the convenience of the hairstyle before the health of our hair. So if we have our hair in braids, it's easy. We don't have to do anything, and we just have our braids. We don't treat the scalp. We don't put no moisturizer in the hair. We don't do nothing until it's time to take it out. You should not do that. So part of the hair that's shedding, Cherise, may also be hair that's dry and it breaks off. So if you have your hair in braids, if you have it in a wig, or even if you have it in crochet braids, which is the type of braided style that I typically recommend, then you need to take a leave-in conditioner. A leave-in conditioner is something that has water in it. For example, this is a leave-in conditioner, a water-based product. I'm sure you have something in your arsenal of products. Take a spray leave-in conditioner and give your hair a mist. So if it's in braids, you're not necessarily spraying the braids. So if you have braids that come down to your shoulders, But if you only have 4 inches of hair, make sure you are spraying your hair with the leave-in conditioner. Spray it a few times a week to make sure your hair stays hydrated. I like wearing wigs because I can slap that wig off, take some leave-in conditioner, and still spray it in my hair. Even with my hair slicked back like this, I will still take that leave-in conditioner and I will spray some leave-in conditioner in it. Styles like this that's meant to, because it's slicked back, I don't keep it like this for a long time because I can't moisturize my hair. And I can't afford not to moisturize my hair because my hair is gray and it needs moisture. So this is not a style that I'll wear for a long time. This is one of my let me switch it up and be cute for the party type style, but that's about it. It is important that you keep your hair moisturized, even in your braids. So convenient styles are convenient, but I always ask women, the women that come and get the back-to-back sew-ins and never give their hair a break, or who never or don't take care of their hair, at what cost? What is this really costing you in the long run? It's a convenient style, but at what cost? Is it going to cost you your hair at some point? Those are the things you have to think about with these styles. We tend to neglect our style. We neglect our hair in these styles, and these styles are leading to hair loss. So unfortunately, there are some women who are dealing with extreme forms of hair loss, with alopecia areata, with scarring alopecia, with androgenetic alopecia, all the types of alopecias that are precipitated by something that's going on within their body. And they have to work much harder to maintain their hair. And then there's a whole subset of women who are not taking care of their hair. And as a result, it is causing their hair to come out. So all of these styles, your tight ponytails, your wigs, your weaves, your braids, all of those styles are fine if worn in moderation. You want those styles, your hairstyle, to be a choice. You don't want to have to wear these styles by force. So I'm sure some of the women who are dealing with these extreme forms of hair loss, they have to wear some certain styles, what I call by force. It's not because they want to, it's because they have to cover their hair. So your weave styles, for example, should be by choice. Like you switch it up from time to time. I had an aunt whose loose natural hair was past her hips. She often said her hair feels heavy. Yes, Miss Antoinette, what I say in terms of the hair feeling heavy, this is in general. When it's all said and done, trust yourself. If you feel like your hair feels too heavy, then, or if your aunt feels like her hair feels too heavy, and if she needs to cut it, then cut it. So there's always the exception to every rule. If the hair feels heavy, then absolutely cut it. So can bleaching your hair cause traction alopecia? Now, Keisha, the bleaching doesn't cause the traction alopecia. Again, traction alopecia, traction means tension, pulling, tugging. So the bleach in and of itself is not a tension, it's not a pull, it's not a tug. So it's not the bleaching. Now, when you bleach your hair and then turn around and do a certain style to your hair, like, for example, for my women who are always wearing braids, I don't recommend you bleach your hair and then put braids or relax your hair. There are a lot of women who are natural now. They're not necessarily wearing their loose natural hair. They're wearing sew-ins and braids, because you shouldn't weaken your hair with a chemical process such as bleach and then turn around and put braids in your hair. That's only going to make it worse. So the bleaching doesn't cause traction alopecia. Bleach, if not applied properly, bleach is super dry, super dry. So if you're going to bleach your hair, you should have a plan for how you're going to maintain your hair, because bleach can cause your hair to come out because the hair is so dry, it falls out. So if you are bleaching your hair, your stylist should also tell you what you need to do to maintain the health of your hair, to make sure your hair is healthy. Bleaching the hair and certain permanent colors instantly strips your hair. If it's natural moisture, strips it up. It's a natural protein. So you should have a plan in place to treat your bleached hair. So protein treatments, for example, moisture, for example. I would have so many clients who would come in who would do the big chop, and the first thing they wanted to do was, oh, Karen, can I get color? And what do you think I said? No, because when you first go natural, your hair is dry. You have to spend some time getting to know your natural hair first before you put this permanent color or bleach in it, because that's going to make your hair even drier. So if you don't have a plan for maintaining the health of your natural hair, you can forget about putting a bleach in it, because that's a whole other level. So bleaching doesn't cause traction alopecia. The bleach can cause hair loss if you're not treating the scalp properly, or if you're over processing. So if you're bleaching after bleach after bleach, you're just weakening the hair, and the hair can fall out. Yes, where there is no flow, no blood flow, hair will not grow, which is why I'm very particular about even the product line that I sell. As I told people, I would sell it in my trichology practice, because I would do a full consultation, and I know whether or not the person's hair is going to come back. We've addressed some of the other issues. So I was very cautious to just release this product line to everyone, because I didn't want people to think just a product line is going to answer all of your hair loss problems, because that's not true. Products have their place. Products help. My Curl House product line technically can be used by anyone. It's designed for the scalp. It's designed to encourage growth. It's designed to keep the scalp moisturized. It has awesome ingredients in it that will lead to healthy hair, regardless if you are dealing with hair loss or not. I have a lot of clients who like the product line for the benefits in general. I even have a girl, I think I posted it on my page. She had long hair anyway. She didn't have no hair loss issues, but she started using it, and she sent me a picture, and her hair was already long. But after using it, oh my gosh, I mean, it even surprised me. I was like, oh my gosh. And that's from using the product line. So in terms of products, if there's no blood flow, it's nothing that you can put on your hair to make your hair grow, because hair grows in part due to the nutrients found in the blood. Red blood cells bring the iron, bring the oxygen to your scalp. So if you have any of those issues, then that's going to affect growth. Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna be wrapping up in 10 minutes, y'all. You are referring to braiding and weaving of fine hair. It seems that the braids were much. Yes, Miss Pauline. So in terms of, she's talking about the braids, braiding hair with people with fine hair. So people with coarse hair, the hair seems to be stronger. Coarse hair is stronger than fine hair, because coarse hair just means that the hair strand is thicker anyway. So I'm not like a 4A, 4B, 4C person. I've never really referred to hair that way. I'm old school. Your hair is either fine, medium, or coarse. So fine hair, generally speaking, if you take a piece of thread, fine hair is usually smaller than a piece of thread. Medium hair is the size of a piece of thread. Coarse hair is slightly bigger than a piece of thread. This is just in general, y'all. But coarse hair is thicker anyway. Fine hair is smaller. So fine hair, because it's smaller, it doesn't give as much hold, or it's not as strong as coarse hair. So braiding and weaving fine hair could absolutely lead to potential hair loss, because the hair is just not as strong as coarse hair. Okay. All right. Okay, so in terms of Mary, your scarring alopecia, your hair will not grow back. In terms of scarring alopecia, if I could just go back to that, I'm careful not to say the hair won't grow back. I'm careful not to say that. Absolutely, if the hair follicle is completely scarred, then yes. But the thing with scarring alopecia and that inflammation attacking the hair follicle, because you don't know where, it's a degenerative process. So because you don't know where, how far along the scarring is, you can stabilize it. That's the thing with scarring alopecia. If the hair follicle is scarred, it's scarred, but you want to stop it from spreading. So what I was saying is that it spreads, it grows like that circle that starts out like this. It starts to get wider and wider and wider. So the thing with restoring the hair, when I've seen CCCA restored, then the area where the scarring started first, like if it started right here at the middle of your head in a circle and it just got bigger like that, the area where there is most inflammation, it's been here the longest, that's the hardest part for the hair to come back because it's been there the longest. So usually with CCCA, when it comes back, that hole will start to get smaller. Does that make sense? When you're treating it, it's different ways that you can treat it, but when you're treating it, it will get smaller. So I've had several clients that I've treated with CCCA. We haven't been able to bring back all the hair on any of them, but there were several clients where we were able to stabilize it, number one, keep it from spreading, and then restore the hair that still has an active hair follicle. So if the hair follicle is still viable, then we can minimize the scarring. And that's what you have to do. That's what you have to remember with scarring alopecia. First, you want to stop it as much as possible. And I'm not going to talk about treatment plans with CCCA because it's very different. If you're going to a dermatologist, I'm sure your dermatologist has you on a plan. But you want to first stop it and then restore the hair that can be restored. So just because you have scarring alopecia, scarring is progressive. It's not scarring alopecia and the hair follicle is scarred. It's two different things. So scarring means it's progressive. It's in the process. So you want to stop it as much as possible. And it's different ways that you can do that. You can send me an email if you like at info@curlhouse.com. Richie Sky, look at that. Sure wish I could grow my hair back. Richie Sky is a man. I don't know if you want me to talk about you, Richie Sky, so I'm going to just go on to the next comment. Can washing your hair weekly make it dry out, be brittle, and break off? I have gray, short, natural hair. Okay, Miss Anita, I'm gonna go back and do another session on gray hair. But no, washing your hair weekly does not make it dry out, be brittle, or break off. This is in general. This is in general. You should wash your hair. Generally, I recommend that clients wash their hair weekly. I feel like we're not washing our hair enough, quite frankly. We're not washing our scalp enough. So washing it weekly actually helps the hair. It helps the scalp because gray hair, and if you go back to before February 20th, I did a whole live on gray hair, and I was supposed to do part 2, but then I had my family issue with my father, so I didn't do part 2 yet, but I will. But no, washing your hair is water. You're getting moisture to your hair. You're getting water to your hair, and your natural hair craves water. So it doesn't make it brittle and it doesn't make it break off. Now, gray hair is in a different category of its own. Gray hair is naturally dry. It may or may not be naturally brittle, and it may be more prone to breaking off. So it's not the washing the hair, it's what you're doing to the hair day to day. So gray hair in general requires more moisturizer. With gray hair, your sebaceous gland, which is the glands, your sebaceous glands is what causes your, which is what produces sebum, which is the lubricant for our hair. That sebaceous gland gradually stops working, which causes your natural moisture to minimize, which causes your hair to be drier. So with gray short hair, you definitely should wash it once a week, but you have to make sure that you are hydrating your hair. You have to make sure that you are moisturizing your hair. Some people day to day, I talked about with my gray hair, I know you can't see it now because of this hairstyle, but I try to put moisture in my hair every day. I put something in it every day with my gray hair. It all depends on the type of moisture you have, the type of moisturizer you have. But the main thing you need to do, Miss Anita, is do more deep conditioners. So take a conditioner, put a plastic cap on, sit under the hooded dryer for about 20 to 30 minutes. You can do that more frequently. And you can start putting moisturizer in your hair more frequently. So it's not the washing, it's your hair is gray. Like I said, you can go back to, but the last live I did was all about gray hair, and I did step by step. You can definitely look into that. Blood pressure medication, can that cause hair loss? Absolutely. Yes, it can. Blood pressure medication can absolutely cause hair loss. What I would do, there are different types of blood pressure medications. What I recommend that you do, you can look up for some medications. I don't have it in front of me. Medications in general, you can look up what some of the side effects from the blood pressure medication, and hair loss may be a side effect. And you can also look up um, what is your body deficient in as a result of the medication. I don't know the website. I have it in my office, but Google it, or I'll see if I can remember. If you send me an email, you can put in your blood pressure medication, type of medication, and this online system will tell you, because you're taking this medicine, it's correcting one thing, but it is causing another thing. It's causing some type of deficiency in another area. And that's the area you need to address with the blood pressure medication. But you can also talk to your doctor about it. I am not a doctor. You can talk to your doctor about it as well. So let me give you that disclaimer. In terms of vitamins for hair loss, there are several vitamins for hair loss. And let me write that down. Oh, I don't have my pen, because I like to talk about different topics more specifically. Um, I'm going to recommend one. There is a vitamin that I use in my trichology practice, but I don't recommend it because you just can't go out and get it from anywhere. But there is a vitamin that I use. Now, let me tell you, this is just my opinion. It's a vitamin that I used years ago. It was all the rage, and I liked it. And it was called Hairfinity. Are anyone familiar with that? Hairfinity, hair and then finity, Finity. Hairfinity was a vitamin that I used, and it was fantastic. I liked it. Now, other people used it and they said it made them, I think the major complaint is that it caused some people to have breakouts on their face. I'm not prone to breakouts, so it did not affect me that way. And if you go to the website, they'll tell you, make sure you drink it with plenty of water. And then a lot of people who are dealing with slow growing hair are like to use biotin. But biotin is not the end all be all, but biotin and B complex vitamins help with hair growth as well. And remember, these growth drops are like vitamins in a bottle. That's what I call them. I have clients who hate taking vitamins, and they just drop this on their scalp. They are like vitamins in a bottle because they have a lot of minerals, vitamins in them. And you can put them right on your scalp, and they are absorbed directly into your scalp, into your follicle. But I will talk about vitamins more specifically. I'll do a whole live on that for you, Sharice. I hope I remember to write it down. Okay, you don't use dyes, relaxers, or any chemicals on my hair, but my hair is dry and lifeless. Yeah, so if you have thyroid issues, so you have to think in terms of your thyroid issues. You said your hair is dry and brittle. So whenever you have something medical going on, the first thing that has to be addressed is internal. Anything with hypothyroid, it has to be addressed internal. So for you, Lillian, I don't know if you got my book on the Black Woman's Guide to Health or Thicker Hair. You can go to my website, curlhouse.com. The book is called The Black Woman's Guide to Healthy, Thick Hair. If you get the book, put in live, LIVE, like this live, LIVE, you can get the book for free. So you can read some of those things. I suggest you do some of those things in your book for your hair, particularly the dry and brittleness. When your dry and brittleness and lifelessness is coming from something internal, then that's how it has to be addressed first, then external. Then what you do to your hair has to be addressed second. So it's important that internal is addressed first. So in terms of what you're eating, the vitamins, the hypothyroid, is that affecting the vitamins, the minerals, your absorption of vitamins and minerals? All of those things need to be addressed. If you send me an email to what's my email? info@curlhouse.com. I'll put it on the list of topics I can talk about in more detail. Okay, DJ Richie Sky asked me, what are my thoughts on hair transplants? Hair transplants are cool. Now, honestly, I don't know. I know one person, let me take that back, who has gotten a hair transplant. Female, not male. Female has gotten a hair transplant. The thing with the hair transplant is that for people who have a hair transplant is fine for someone who has traction alopecia, the alopecia we were talking about from the pulling. And one of my clients did get a transplant for traction alopecia, because traction alopecia, there is nothing internal going on. It's just mechanical. Now, hair transplants are good for people with female and male pattern hair loss, or androgenetic hair loss, because that type of alopecia, the hair follicle is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. So with the transplant, that's the best. I don't want to say the best. Let me not say that. I missaid that. If you have a genetic form of hair loss, then the transplant would be good for someone who has a genetic form of hair loss. If you're dealing with hair loss that is inflammatory, where what we talked about all throughout this live, when you got inflammation attacking your hair follicle, if it's autoimmune, if your body's recognizing your hair follicles to be foreign and it's attacking it, that's a little different, because even if you get the transplant, then that inflammation is still going to attack that hair follicle. So you have to stabilize that and get it at bay. So I definitely think hair transplants are an option. Is anyone interested in hair transplants? Because I could talk about that for a while. That's another topic too. Hair transplants. Hair transplants will be, if all else fails, get a transplant. If all else fails, if you have been to your dermatologist, if you have been to your trichologist, if you have done some dietary changes, if you've done everything you can think to do, then get the hair transplant. But even with a hair transplant, if you are, and depending on why you're getting the hair transplant, it's still going to be important, even with the transplant, that once you transplant those follicles from the back of your head to the front, that you are still getting trichological care to make sure that that transplant, that hair is anchored into the scalp. So DJ Richie Sky, if that is something you decide to get, then let me know, because I'm definitely going to give you some tips on how to make sure the hair is anchored, so the hair stays and it grows, because it's not as easy as getting a transplant. I know you can go online and look up research, but let me know if you decide to do that, and I can give you some tips on how to make sure that your transplant is effective, because that is not a cheap process, by the way. Okay. Let me see. Hold on. Okay. You know what, y'all? I don't know if I can get through all this. Hold on. Let me do a few more. After I finished the course of treatment, I went natural. My hair grew back. There we go, below. So you had a scalp fungus and it caused hair loss in the crown area. You finished the course of treatment, you went natural, and your hair grew back. Now that's what I'm talking about, below. That's how you do it. So you do your treatment. You went natural, which is good. So I guess you were relaxed at that time. Whenever you have a scalp fungus, whenever you have something on your scalp attacking your scalp, then don't put a chemical in it. So I'm natural. Yes, I encourage women to wear their hair natural, but I'll never speak negatively about someone who has a relaxer. But if someone comes to see me and if they have relaxed hair and if they're dealing with hair loss, I don't recommend that they put a chemical on their scalp. It doesn't make sense. So if you're trying to treat the scalp, why are you going to put a chemical on the scalp that's going to weaken the hair follicle and mess up the scalp even more? So I'm glad you went natural, Bila, and I'm hoping you are enjoying your natural hair, and praise God, it grew back. Mama Carrie, you missed it. I don't know what you missed. Yes, awesome report. Do you need to use Olaplex on gray hair or purple shampoo? So Olaplex you don't have to use Olaplex on gray hair. Purple shampoo. Olaplex has Olaplex. I believe it's Olaplex number 4P. That is the gray. That is the purple shampoo for gray hair. Yes, you can use it for gray hair, but you don't have to. You can use a purple shampoo. That's what I was going to talk about. Part 2 for gray hair. And I don't have it here. Using a purple shampoo. I do have a YouTube video that's all about gray hair as well. But yes, what purple shampoo does, gray hair tends to attract a lot of debris, a lot of dirt, like products. If you have any type of tint or color in your product, gray hair just, it attaches. Everything attaches to gray hair, and it disrupts the color, changes the color of gray hair. Or if you use heat products, like if you blow dry gray hair or using a flat iron, sometimes you'll get that yellow tint. So purple shampoo cancels out the yellow. It makes your hair vibrant. So yes, I do use a purple shampoo on my gray hair to keep my gray popping. Like I said, it's back like this so you can't see it, but absolutely I recommend a purple shampoo. Olaplex is great as well for gray hair. Absolutely. When you're using a purple shampoo, make sure you use it properly. Purple shampoo, if you use too much and let it stay on too long, your hair can actually, the purple can actually attach to your hair, which is why sometimes you might see some little old ladies with purple hair. It's not because they dyed their hair purple. It's because they use purple shampoo. So make sure when you use the purple shampoo, I'll normally let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I rinse it out. So you may not get that vibrant gray hair after the first shampoo, but if you just get in the habit of using it, you'll notice the difference in your hair. Let's see. Okay, so if you have locks, how should you moisturize or hydrate your hair in addition to drinking lots of water? So Miss Frida, if you're drinking water, that's great. Always start on the inside. In terms of your locks, in terms of moisturizing your hair, I think your locks are mature now. I believe they are mature. So if you have mature locks, then you can put moisturizer on your locks. So when I say moisturizer, I mean a product that contains water, a water-based product. So unlike loose natural hair, locked hair, you're not combing it. So it's dry, but it's not breaking off because it's locked. It's like a low or even a no manipulation style. So you don't have to put the moisturizer in it to keep it hydrated, to keep it from snapping off, but you still want your locks to be healthy. So if you have, some people will put, I don't have it, creamier moisturizers, Miss Frida, in your hair that had like thicker, creamier ones that are heavier for your hair that have humectants in it, but you don't want to put it in a lot. Like products with like vegetable glycerin that's in creamier moisturizers are much thicker than lightweight moisturizers like these. So in terms of moisturizing your hair, you can definitely spray if you have a leave-in conditioner, a spray leave-in conditioner that's light, that's not going to build up in your lock. You can definitely use a lightweight leave-in conditioner like this one or something else that you may have and mist your locks. And you can also put, you should also be putting the spray, and you can also put oils on your scalp, on your locks too. Not a lot, because with locks, difference with locks, what you put in locks, your hair absorbs what you put in locks, but it's much different because you're not washing your hair as frequently. So with hydrating and moisturizing locks, then I would absolutely recommend that you put a spray moisturizer in your hair that has humectants, but not heavy humectants. So humectants meaning vegetable glycerin, honey, aloe, but the concentration of the humectant is not as high as it would be in a cream. Is probably a higher concentration of the humectant than it is in a lightweight moisturizer. So generally speaking, I recommend a lightweight moisturizer for locks. Spraying it on the hair. Okay, the website. Please share that website. Okay. Miss Antoinette, you know how to get in touch with me. Send me a reminder. Hair affinity, look up hair affinity. It's just one suggestion. I'll definitely talk about it more, but make sure you look it up. I think I already asked the question on Olaplex on gray hair. Yes, you can use Olaplex. That's 4P for Olaplex. Number 4P, or, you know, Olaplex has a whole system that's great, not just for gray hair, for dry hair. So you can definitely use the Olaplex system in gray hair, or and a purple shampoo. Thank you, Edward. I appreciate it. I appreciate it all. Somebody said for my temples. I don't know what that is. I don't know if you're talking about the growth drops. That's great for your temples. I'm not sure what that is. DJ Richie Sky, you know how to get in touch with me. Okay, so maybe I'll do a live on hair transplants. Thank you, DJ Richie Sky. I might do that on hair transplants. So yeah, I'll give you all more information about that. Pamela Turner asked about laser combs. Yes, laser combs, low light lasers. It's like low light frequencies. I have one. Hold on, let me see if I have one. Let's see. So this is, somebody asked about what about a laser comb? So this is Hair Max. This is what I use with my hair. I don't think I plugged it up. Okay. It's not plugged up, it's dead. But what happens when it's properly charged, all of this is red, right? You can use the comb, similar outcome with the comb, but the comb just requires too much. It's too much of this. This one is by Hair Max, and you just put it on your head. And I use it. My husband uses it for our slow hair. Husband has male pattern. So, and you just put it on your head, and depending on which one you get, the instructions will tell you how long to keep it on your head, particularly when you first start it. This is it's energy. So it's not, somebody asked me, is it radiation? It's not radiation. It's just a light. It's light frequency. It's energy. And energy is what your scalp needs to restore hair. I can definitely talk about this in general, but yes, this is something that we use in our hair loss clinic. We have this is the one that you can use at home. I actually will sometimes use this one because I really like it, because it goes directly where I want it to go, as opposed to the larger lasers that kind of hit all of the scalp. The smaller ones will address the area that's weaker. So this is something I like it because it's natural, so to speak. It's just light energy here. This one is by Hair Max. If you go to the Hair Max website, you'll see an amazing video on this that explains it better than I can. But yes, I recommend these too. A lot of people will use a laser band. This is a laser band. They sometimes have the cap too. So Richie Sky, even if you decide to do a transplant, this is something that I can talk to you about, the additional things that you can do to make sure that hair is anchored and make sure that hair grows. So yes, it's a yes to this, the laser comb. It is, if you use it for the first time, use it as instructed, because if you put it on and you just leave it on for 30 minutes, sometimes you can shock the hair, shock your system, and your hair might come out. So make sure you use it as described. But yes, laser therapy works. It's been around for years and it's very effective. And it is something that I use in my trichology clinic to help to restore hair. This is one, again, you can use at home, but this one is by Hair Max. So great question. Okay, I'm almost done. This has been informative. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all coming online. Horsetail, yes, you can get horsetail in many forms. Absolutely. Horsetail has silica in it. So yes, horsetail is great for hair growth because it has silica in it. So yes, look up silica, Sharice. And oh, a hair transplant for your temples. Yes, you can. You don't have to get the full transplant. You can get the transplant where you need it. And because there are questions about hair transplants, I think I'm going to do a session on transplants. Okay, I think I got all the questions, y'all. Pamela, if you have the comb, you can use the comb too. The comb just takes more work. That's all. But the comb gives you the same results. And with natural hair, it's hard to, depending on your hair texture, it's hard to use the comb in my opinion. In terms of where I get my laser from, this is from Hair Max, hairmax.com. There are many lasers, but this is the one that I like, hairmax.com. So thank you very much, everyone. You see the results from the laser. Always do 90 days. 90 days. I will do a session. I'll probably do a session on hair lasers and hair transplants. I'll put that on my list. All this month, I will be talking more about alopecia, hair loss, things that you can do to restore your hair. All right, y'all. Y'all got me today. I know I haven't been up here in 6 weeks. So y'all got me today because it's an hour and a half and I like to do an hour, but y'all know I like to talk. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'll be back next week. I don't know what I'm talking about. It'll probably have something to do with hair loss. I may have a guest, not sure, but thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining. Remember, curlhouse.com products is online for healthy hair and healthy growth. Have a great evening. And until we talk again, stay fabulous.